going to be diving in to Champion Select, powered by Omen and HyperX, of course. And as you can see, these are the same bans.
No surprises whatsoever. Orianna, Azir, this has been a core strategy in the LCK as well against T1. Keria's Ashe still going to remain off the board. And then the Ahri, the one pick. My main question is, do they ban Taliyah, or is it going to be the Nautilus like they did the first time around?
It's a big question. How will T1 round out their ban strategy? It's going to be the Jax. Is that, once again, an early Twisted Fate priority? Are we looking very similar to what we saw in the previous series?
You're saying that, but I mean, this has been, he is a Jax god, and if Zeus wants to pick Camille again,
also true,
he probably doesn't want to play it into the Jax.
The Taliyah, though, this should not come as a surprise. This pick became more and more important as the last series progressed. This time around, though, this is a big adaptation. They've shifted away from the Kench and instead moved towards the Nautilus. I think that this combo is a lot stronger. Farming Nautilus can actually be a reliable frontline. Elkanondo gonna get what they want, and I think for BLG, this is the core of when we see them be the best, even within this tournament. Aggressive early bot lane. Knight has an impact towards that bottom of the map with the Taliyah roams. We'll see what Sean is able to pick up here.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, like, we've seen this exact matchup in the bottom lane in the Gen G series, right? And I hazard to say that Gumayusi Keria will probably play it a little bit differently to what we saw from Pays and Lahens as well. So probably some lane swaps to come through, but we'll see exactly how it is going to round itself out, as K'Sante going to be the lock-in. T1 allowing BLG to ban more mid laners, which is a bit frightening.
Guys, this is looking eerily similar to literally Game 1.
Yeah.
There are obviously the Tom Kench swapped out for the Nautilus. The Vayne ban now coming through. But there's the Camille as well, so a little bit more focused towards the top side of the map, trying to set up Zeus for a comfortable laning phase. But wouldn't surprise me if BLG go for an early swap. We've been seeing this a fair amount when they do draft the Kalista plus the Renata, but it depends on what that top lane matchup is. Is the Nidalee actually going to be banned away? Remember that it was Shun that actually brought this out in their series previously. A lot of teams respecting Canyon's introduction of the champion to the tournament.
There's the mid lane ban you were talking about, Atlas. The core kills are going to get taken away. The Xin Zhao, I think, feels really strong here. The Jax is also one of the counter picks you can pick into that.
But Tristana's up and available. So you could play a bunch of things. I don't know whether it's going to be a pick alongside the Sejuani, but I would have loved the Ivern. That actually seemed like a really cool idea. Still going to keep things a little bit more open, I guess you could say.
That 1-2 of K'Sante Sejuani is insanely strong in teamfights. We've seen a lot of teams struggle with that. Also provides even more follow-up. The risk that T1 does run, this is going to be very reliant on the mid lane pick, is lacking damage in mid-game. Like, once your early game base damages start falling off, you're going to need a lot of damage coming through from Faker here.
Wondering if it's Tristana for T1 or what they're really cooking, because, I mean, in terms of the mid pool that we've seen from Faker at this tournament, he has the Aurelion Soul available. He has the, the Corki's been banned away. He showed Veigar, Aurelion Soul, and Akali. None of which really worked out for him. So, I mean, his pool is going to be pressured once more. BLG going to stick to what they know. Unsurprisingly, the Twisted Fate going to come out. Does heavily suggest that we are looking at a potential swap from T1's side. But there was that Tristana that we were just talking about. I mean, I think it can make sense. You are, of course, overstacking in terms of damage, but it's a very traditional front to back. We think back to yesterday, T1 dominated G2 in the team fights, and BLG, when they were making it difficult for Gen G, it was team fighting themselves that they made it difficult for Gen G to close out those games.
Also no tank on the enemy side, so really completely mitigating the damage of a double AD composition is a little bit harder. That said, BLG does have so much map pressure. The double global in particular is going to make the mid game really hard, and BLG, if they can get the early lane states that they're looking for, Shun is on something that's much better at the early dives, so should be looking to punish whoever ends up playing into Elkanon.
I think the last time we saw BLG and T1 play, many were surprised by how controlled they were.
Yeah.
BLG is known as the best early game team in the world. Their ability to build advantages on the bot side of the map, the way they use the pressure from Knight in mid to affect the bot lane as well. This is the type of comp that enables that. Early game aggression, attacking that bot side of the map, trying to shut down this Senna Nautilus. I wouldn't be surprised to see that from BLG. But also, as you highlighted, they have options in the late game. Team fighting is the name of the game for T1. Let's see how they stack up against the team fighting giants of BLG.
They did pretty well yesterday as far as those team fights were concerned, and we'll see whether they can use that to ramp into a very difficult series against a team that's been able to take them down already at this tournament. I think a very different look when it comes to the champions that have been picked up. I think that's one of the main things that T1 has improved on as this tournament has progressed. We'll just have to see whether it's going to be good enough against the might of the LPL as BLG look to get to the MSI final. But it's time. Let's jump onto the rift for game number 1 of the lower bracket final. I tell you what, gentlemen, Chengdu is full. Like, this is
we are packed.
Full.
What is
fans
it?
are pretty divided as well.
They are, because when they were doing warm-ups, it was actually BLG was louder, but not by that large of a margin. And Faker has had a fair amount of time to build up a fan base.
Yes,
so he's been around for a while.
When I was casting the LPL, Faker was already extraordinarily famous in China.
Yeah.
So that was a long time ago.
Well, let's see how he stacks up today. He obviously had a much better series against G2 yesterday, but there have been question marks around his performance at this tournament. Early vision invested from BLG. They used their bot lane to get that information, and oh, hang on a minute.
Yeah, this is very cute, but Gumayusi is going to be here. Oner turning up as well. Faker with that first roam over. Elk in trouble. Rocket jump comes down, still gets the damage after the flash, and Elk is no longer. First blood goes to Faker, and that answers your question, Betty.
Tristana getting an early kill, absolutely huge. We've seen how hard this pick can snowball, and one of the best strategies against T1 is put Faker behind. Now, starting level 1, he's already ahead.
I mean, you have to question this invade from BLG. I guess they assumed that Oner was not starting on the bot side of the map, but it felt like the T1 was suspicious from that play from the start. They saw the ward drop, they were cautious about Alkanon invading on that side because Faker was already hovering, he was already in a position to collapse. He held off on taking any ability, he eventually commits to the W, and he secures first blood for T1.
Now Shun going to be continuing his clear towards this bottom side, just going to take his red buff last. As you can see, Knight able to get some vision in Oner's jungle. But this has carry-on effects, right? We talk about the fact that Faker manages to get the kill, but this bottom lane got a whole lot of free time that a Sen and Nautilus probably shouldn't have got.
It's nice for Guma and Keria. What we are seeing, though, in the top side of the map is one of the reasons why a lot of teams have swapped, even if they have a strong 2v2 and bot, is to deny the early levels of this TF into Cassante matchup. Eventually, Cassante obviously gets a little bit more threat, can shrug it off a little bit easier once he gets some resistances as Oner reads the play.
Yeah,
Don't know if he'll be able to pick up his camps, though.
Nice play there from Shun. Playing around the pressure that he has. The advantage of BLG's comp is you look at the minimap right now, pushing waves across the board, gives a lot of freedom for Shun to set up for these invades and kind of bully Oner out of his own jungle. We'll see how he navigates through this because you've got Knight also hovering. Again, look at the minimap. Information being garnered. Knight working with his jungler very well. Faker being forced to come across to help.
Yeah, he is going to come up. That ward is going to be taken down here as Winter's Wrath comes out. Knight looking to try and dissuade Oner from taking this one. Good seismic shot, but Oner takes the red buff. But will he be able to get out? As it is going to be the kill going over to Shun, but Faker's going to be there. It's a Q flash, but it ain't enough. And now the rocket jump's been reset, and Faker gets back to the lane.
That's a second kill now for the Tristana. Faker hasn't even backed yet, but he is sitting on almost 1,400 gold. And BLG, I understand that the power of Zinzao early, you want to try and utilize that, but it takes so long to take down the Sejuani.
Keria gonna get handshook back. That's a really cute buffer on the anchor there and is able to get back to the turret. Everything's fine, but some health bars a little bit lower on T1's side.
I mean, this Tristana is getting accelerated. Faker, a player that BLG tried very hard to shut down in their previous series, is in a great position right now. And this skirmish in the early game, you kind of expect Knight and Shun to have the edge. The stun comes through onto Oner. He gets melted down pretty quickly, but the damage is enough. Faker's able to get the full bomb proc onto Shun. He tries to flash away, but the auto attack is already buffered. And then Faker says, you know what, I'm not going to overcommit. I'm going to take my double buff, and I'm going to go back to mid.
Crucially, in these early fights, Sejuani's damage is actually pretty respectable.
Oh, yeah.
The amount of burst you have with W, plus the damage on your E.
The permafrost, right?
Yeah. There's actually a pretty decent amount of damage that comes out. Faker.
Yeah, going to be able to buff it this time around, though. It doesn't work like Valkyrie, which is pretty good, because the last time we saw the Taliyah picked up by Knight, he was absolutely phenomenal. But it was into Faker's Corki, a little bit different here than the Tristana. Not something that Faker's necessarily known for, but because Faker's been around so long, and so has Tristana, you could imagine he's probably got some reps, you know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's kind of at the point in his career where kind of what isn't he known for?
Yeah, it's a good point.
And he has phases. Again, questions around his individual performance have definitely arose so far in this tournament, but he seems to be finding his form, and what better way to start this series against BLG than 2-0 up against your lane counterpart. Now, the gold still favors BLG. We can find those advantages in the top lane and towards the bot. Naturally, you're going to imagine that Elkanon will passively just gain a small gold lead just because Keria is the one farming in that 2 versus 2. Along with the Twisted Fate passive, having the advantage in that matchup as well, you can see 12 CS up combined with the passive is giving Bit a pretty healthy lead. So T1 aren't in any significant control in the early game, but it's the mid game that we're most cautious about, right, Chronicler?
Because that mid game is when those global come online. That's when BLG is going to have a ton more map pressure. And we talk about BLG and the way that they utilize that. T1 does the same. The desk was highlighting this as well, that both of these two teams actually have a lot of similarities in how they play the map. And while in the 2v2, Oner and Faker have been able to do pretty decent, it does mean that Bin has so much space and really gets to push the envelope in this 1v1.
And we've seen now the neutral objectives get traded. First grub is going to go over to Oner here. You can see that BLG are moving up to see about a contest for Gumayusi in the area, and it should be the 3 of the grubs going over. And I think when you have a Tristana, this is the priority that you want. However, Oner going to be able to grab this before he assaults over the back of the pit. Buster shot and flash going to be utilized, as now Faker doesn't have that for the disengage, and he's going to get thrown back. Now the shutdown should come through, and it's Bin that collects the goal.
We talk about the map pressure, and we immediately get an example here from Bin.
Really nice collapse from BLG. They'll say, fine, you take the grabs, we'll take the kill. Gets the shutdown onto Faker as well, crucial. And I believe it was Bin that ended up picking up that kill. Only going to help accelerate that top side of the map for BLG as they look to try and fight T1 and reclaim control, or I should say, gain the first major advantage of this game.
The grubs also feels like more of a denial. I think there's a lot of comps where you get the grubs and they feel like a really good offensive tool. In this case, though, that's not going to be the case, as Faker here, the moment that the ult goes down, feels that he's in great danger, and unfortunately, even with the flash, just doesn't have the time to get out.
I think he does all the right things. I think he flashes with enough buffer time. I just don't think he was expecting Knight to also flash after him, because the moment Bin comes through with the ultimate, you think he's in a bit of danger, but that commitment from Knight really helps secure that kill, so nice plays, the hook connects.
Yeah, gonna land here onto On as they do invest even the ultimate from Keria. The root is going to land as now Faker coming down towards the bottom side. Oner's here as well. On is in so much trouble. Level 6 is gonna be there for Elk. Fate's call comes out now, and Knight is gonna turn up. The flash comes in, but Oner's still able to get the kill. The wall is gonna block him, so they will take down the Sejuani. And now Gumayusi coming in will not land the snare. Gets the piercing darkness over, but I don't think T1 to get anything else as Shun is making his way down. We'll see whether the Xin Zhao can get things done, but it looks like he's a little bit too late in T1. They should be able to get themselves out of this, but still BLG with control of the map.
Knight using a fantastic ultimate to prevent this bot lane from falling so far behind. Such a good commitment from Gumayusi and Keria to set up that play initially, but Shun is still hovering around. He's hunting for more.
Yeah, the information going to be there as now Faker is going to dive on top of that. The hook max range will connect, and now the ulti comes on through, but it's another rocket jump from Faker. He gets himself out, and even with everything invested, Shun's not going to be able to get there. Just not quite enough range on that W, and T1 will get out.
BLG feel confident, they think that they see the trap, that they're able to outsmart, but the burst is simply too much. Elk ends up going down immediately, and it takes a little bit of time for On to actually get there.
I mean, T1, they're happy with that, but BLG are not saying no for an answer. They're not taking no for an answer, they're looking for another dive.
Should be a 3v3, but Oner a little bit far away from the rest of his team. Keria just looking to keep things farmed up. He's pretty tanky here on this farming Nautilus, as we know can be deceptive if you're used to him just playing support. So they're not going to go for the dive just yet.
Yeah, the wave was thinned out enough, but T1 really want to base, and another wave is crashing. BLG though, they say, you know what, that's enough. Elk, as he resets back out onto the map, goes to mid, catches that wave, so BLG looking to not waste any farm. Nice knockback.
Yeah, seismic shove. The handshake's going to be there as well, as now Keria in trouble and will be taken down. Knight secures the kill underneath the turret, and Gumayusi just has to watch.
A full sense of security there for Keria. Feels like he's tanky enough. Sees Knight, sees on, but still gets caught by that seismic shove. Really nice pick that also, again, puts BLG in a gold lead.
I feel like Faker's had double buffs this whole game, and now he's going to jump on top of Elk. 50% of his health bar has now been taken down.
That's true. Is he jungle? Is he the jungler? Really?
Yeah.
I mean, the double buff is giving him a nice lead. In terms of farm, he's a little bit behind that of Knight, but his impact on the map is definitely being felt.
We know that Bengi was always described as Faker's right hand, and now maybe Oner is really trying to take that to the next level.
Well, it's a dive mid.
Yes, cleanse.
Yeah, there is the ulti. Immediate cleanse does come on through, but I think that's just going to be too much damage. Explosive charge will be able to get it done. As Gumayusi comes down, Knight is looking for Oner, but I think that the Sejuani is going to be able to make it out. Will Zeus be as lucky, though, as the stun card comes through, the all-out to try and get him out, as now the Dawning Shadow, as they're looking to turn it. Faker, he has the rocket jump to get over the wall, and the Buster Shot to create that distance. The ultimate comes on through. The block is fantastic, as now Destiny gets the turnaround. Faker's lying on the ground, and Finn's just laughing.
It's the jump from Faker getting interrupted.
Oh, seismic shot going to be avoided, but it does not matter. Knight is now on the board in the skirmish, and BLG looking fantastic in the top lane.
T1 thought they saw a moment of weakness, but BLG outfight them in the skirmish.
I love Game 1 already. A back and forth brawl between two incredible teams. T1 with some early game aggression that, based on their composition, you would not expect. This is more of a scaling, front-to-back teamfight composition. They want to avoid these early skirmishes, but after finding a successful dive in mid, it was Bin that was finding a nice trade in the top lane. Shun is hovering around, and they're ready to set up a kill onto Zeus. He pops the ghost immediately, and then the collapse is coming through. The all-out has to be committed by Zeus to get closer to his team, and the idea here from Faker is brilliant. Knocks Bin back to set up for the bait, but look at this third hit from Shun.
Yeah.
Beautifully timed, interrupts the jump from Faker, no reset for him, and then the chase comes down.
The combination of the knock-up and Shun's ultimate splitting up that fight, not allowing the rest of T1 to get on top of Bin. BLG, really big win there. Knight, even without with his ultimate in mid, not hitting, doesn't matter, immediately teleports towards the top half of the map. And I love that we came into this talking about the mid laners. Right now, both 5 out of the 6 for BLG, 5 out of the 5 for T1 have involved those two players.
Faker's impact is definitely being felt, but Knight, the fact that he's been matching this aggression as well, utilizing his TP to try and control Faker where he can. This is where Faker currently has an advantage, but you look at the level difference, Knight pretty much a full level up thanks to the farm advantage that he's gained.
And this is the crazy thing about this series, is it's really bringing us back to the first time we saw these two teams, and the fact that Talia just looks so incredibly broken in the hands of both of these players, but right now it's only the example of Knight, who's just looking phenomenal on this pick. BLG really off to a great start, but the gold doesn't really tell the true story here of what it feels like in this game with the advantage that they picked up. Still a lot of opportunities here for T1 as Keria underneath this turret by himself and should be able to just pick up all of this farm.
Oh, there was a lot of levels to that. Because of the double TP, I think T1 was setting up a bait where Keria just hooks in, pretends that they don't know about the ward, that they don't know about the imminent dive. But BLG, they suss it out. Don't over-invest into diving when those summoners are up, and nothing comes of it.
I mean, it's important to recognize that while the gold lead is in favor, I have to say,
possibly a bit of an engagement here. They just want the Fate's call, as they're going to hold on to it. You can see that Elk, he had his finger on the R button, but didn't need to use it here, so T1 not going to be able to collect that cooldown that they were looking for.
It definitely felt like they were fishing for some summoner spells there. T1 not fully committing to the play, but also maybe opening up an opportunity for the Herald, but now that's gone. BLG held their nerve, and now it's Shun on the aggression.
Yeah, a bit of a face check there as now Gumayusi might pay the price for it. He's going to have to walk over. You can see Faker's just backing. He wants to get out of there, but he's going to cancel it as now the threaded volley comes in immediately. There's the buster shot, and now Gumayusi has to flash. Hostile takeover, not going to land onto anyone, but On is still going to be there as he dives forward. They're so incredibly low. Both of the AD carries go down, and Shun gets a double underneath the turret, but now it could be T1's time as the all-out comes in, and Zeus is going to do the same thing. Collects a couple, and now Ben tries to answer it as the rest of BLG collapse. And Keria, can he turn it around? The flash forward, he locks it up, and now Oner is there. They're going to be able to get the triple kill for the Nautilus.
It's a brawl in the top lane as T1 finds an ace. An incredible exchange, but BLG falls short at the end of the fight.
Screw lane swaps! Give me all games of this!
Yes, this is what we need. And this is because I feel like Nautilus it leaves a bad taste in the mouth of a lot of T1 fans. But Keria just carried that fight. Oh man, just amazing. We used to say in the LCK, imagine if he had a real support. Well, he does in this game, as now Faker able to get himself out of the way of Shun this time around.
He's been involved in 8 of T1's 10 kills, 3, 1, and 5. I don't remember if he had the frozen heart prior to that fight, but if he did, it really helped. I mean, we look back at this, and it's Guma that gets caught initially.
So Guma tries his best to store, and you see some hesitation from T1. Do we want to try and make a play here? Do we want to save Guma? Really nicely done by On there to hide the ultimate, meaning that Guma ends up going down, and crucially, Faker gets taken down due to jumping through. Shun gets the kill, but the double TP from T1 turns the fight.
And BLG, they're very low health at this point. It's an easy cleanup for T1, but they have a numbers advantage. So they think as long as Bin can buy enough time, and he's able to do that. The shield comes through from On. He's able to get that initial kill, but then Keria actually kills On the backside. But this flash from Keria, the root into hook, and then the center ultimate is really the icing on the cake that brings the whole fight together. Against these two tanks, Elk just didn't have the durability, the mobility to get out of that situation.
And what I love the most out of that was Keria's acting. Because he's like, he does that walk where he's like trying to get to the brush because he doesn't want to die. That feels like what he's doing, but Oner is there. He doesn't go back like a lot of people thought he might have because his health bar was so incredibly low. And then the immediate flash afterwards to deny the reaction. Really, really cute stuff from Keria.
Even though that was a lot of chaos, when we look at it, the gold lead that BLG has now shrunk to only about 200. And T1...
That's a 2K gold lead for Keria.
Wow.
I mean, it's the center situation, Betty. Let's not get too caught out.
That's how, even when you compare him to Elk, right? He's going to be feeling amazing in this. They also picked up Herald, and they picked up the mid lane turret. So a lot of extra map control, and it's important to, again, rephrase. BLG's comp at any point is going to be insane at catching people inside lane. But T1's comp, when it comes to the straight-up 5v5, they're going to be feeling amazing right now.
I mean, we've casted a while now, all three of us.
We have.
Beefcakes is the word we would use to describe T1's
With Sama.
Double Frozen Heart with a locket on Oner as well. I mean, this is just a terrifying frontline that BLG are going to have to get creative to find ways around, because their comp can definitely team fight. Don't get me wrong, but that you can't just play that traditional front to back. You got to create more chaos in the fight, find angles of attack that are not conventional, as we may be setting ourselves up for another one.
Yeah, nice weave as well to try and block the entrance here for T1 as they are looking to get into the pit. The rend is going to be there, and it's a good smite from Shun to get them one extra dragon. Only 2 on the board as, of course, T1 managed to get the second, as now Glacial Prison does fly forward. They get the Fate's Call this time, and now Keria has already hooked his way in. The rocks are on the ground. The Dawning Shadow's there to keep Keria alive as Elk is pushed out of the fight. Now the hostile takeover comes through, but it's not really going to get the value, and the bailout doesn't either. Now in the backline, Zeus is running amok, and they're able to win it in the end. They may not get the Drake, but they'll get the kills, and T1 are out of there.
Crucially there, T1 find the front-to-back teamfight that they're looking for. They look for the exit. Bin will snipe Faker at the end there, but still T1 gonna be happy about that one.
Absolutely incredible teamfight once again from T1. They play it patiently, they take their time, and again, they make the front-to-back happen. Now, Keria is the target.
Well, he is very, very tanky, as we know. Coming on up, though, we'll see whether they're going to have enough. They're going to invest a teleport to try and make sure they'll get through This Nautilus handshake is good, gold card is there, and that's a really nice shove. I don't think Keria is getting out of this one. And that is another kill for Bin. 5-1-1 now on the Twisted Fate.
Big shutdown again going over to Bin, and in the side lane, this man is going to remain an absolute menace. Keria oversteps.
And this is one of the big problems for BLG, it's tanks, right? Getting through the tanks. Well, I think that this Twisted Fate might be the answer to it as we have a look at this team fight once again.
It doesn't look that bad initially for BLG, but when this TP flank comes in, it kind of ends in disaster because the fight is now on two fronts. Faker is buying time. It looks like that he's getting isolated, but he's able to get away to safety. Meanwhile, the jungler is getting absolutely melted on one side. The Taliyah has no one to play around, and T1 can just play behind their tanks while Faker acts as a distraction. Good job from Bin being able to actually get a kill on at the end of the exchange. But you can see how scrappy these fights can get for BLG and how difficult they are, especially when Elk isn't able to consistently have that uptime to really melt through the front line, if he ever really can on this Kalista.
So as well, Keria, his position towards the top side was punished, but his hooks and his team fights have been incredible.
Speaking of hooks, he's going to land one onto Shun here as well as they look to try and defend their blue buff. Good handshake for the disengage, but I don't know whether it's going to help Shun, who is going to throw the ulti down, but another magnetic
20
hook
minutes
from this Nautilus. And yeah, 20 minutes and 30 seconds. We've seen earlier ones from T1. They're heading towards that Baron pit.
A big mistake there from Shun. He tries to take something that does not belong to him, and T1 punish him aptly. Now they set their sights on the Baron. The Herald has been dropped. Let's see if BLG can find a way into the pit.
Weaver's Wall up and available here for Knight. He is now positioned to try and get himself in there. The wall goes down to the Baron, is under half health. There's a hostile takeover. It's going to make it a Thunderdome in there. Now Gumayusi is already incredibly low. Now T1 looking to try and turn it. The Dawning Shadow is fantastic. Elk is going to get into bailout range. Able to get the reset as well. And Oner goes down. Zeus will follow. Two tanks on the ground, and now BLG have a chance at the Baron.
4v5 and BLG make the fight happen on with one of the best Renata ultimates we've ever seen. Lands on multiple members of T1. It tears T1 apart, and now the Baron goes to BLG.
Just when it looked like T1 had found their moment, this happened. The most... Look, he puts him in his place and then forces him to fight his teammates.
Crucially here, because of the damage Bin has done, Oner, Zeus and Keria go in, but there's no damage. Faker is still on the Baron. Guma is way too low, so they don't burst down Elk. And the moment that he gets the hop, that they can isolate an individual target, BLG strike.
I mean, I talked about On's ultimate, but a lot of credit needs to be given to Knight as well. That wall positioning, the combo happened because of them working together. And then Bin isolates the carries. As you mentioned, Chronicler, the fight from T1 ends up divided. Similar to how BLG lost the previous fight. If the front to back isn't working together, then the comp from T1 falls apart.
Soul point available for BLG here if they get it. Want to get this mid lane turret.
See whether they can, as these Baroned up minions at 22 minutes are quite difficult for T1 to deal with. They will be able to get this one. The flash forward, the phenomenal handshake to pull Faker out, and they will take him down. Shun is in trouble, but he has the Crescent Guard, so he ain't fallen down just yet. And now T1 just find themselves lacking a mid lane out of turret and their mid laner. Nice little flick back there from Knight as well. Will connect onto Keria. He's not as tanky as he was before. And T1 really on the ropes now.
I've heard of a firm handshake, but On, what the hell was that? Catching Faker out of mid-air to set him up for your team to find the kill. The tower's gonna drop as well. The Dragon is open for the taking. BLG now in full control of Game 1.
Yesterday against Gen.G, even when the chips were down, BLG were showcasing how good they were at team fighting. And we're seeing it here again. Felt like T1 were kind of getting to the point of the game where their 5v5 was going to be strong enough, but instead now, Rebel Baron power play, almost 4k gold, Soul Point picked up, and T1 desperately trying to defend this inner.
I mean, I love BLG's aggression. They're using every advantage that they have to keep the pressure up. Keria in mid, has the TP. All 5 members stacked from BLG. Here comes the ultis.
Yeah, hostile takeover comes in. They just want to get Zeus out of the fight, but he is able to move far enough back. Because now the wall is going to be deconstructed still. This inner turret's going to fall down, and BLG got exactly what they wanted. 5 turrets now as before that Baron, it was 2-3 on that count and 4.5k on the Red Bull Baron power play.
Just excellent zone control from BLG. They force T1 away from the objective and they secure it with ease. We look back at this play, the flash handshake out of midair yanks him right back into BLG's clutches. We knew that On's Renata was good, but damn, is it great to see in action.
Crucially, because T1 has continuously grouping up, trying to fight these 5v5s, you've seen they've dropped a lot of waves. CS numbers across the board, they are pretty far behind. In experience, they're starting to fall further and further behind as well. Meaning that right now, they just need to desperately try and hang on, get to the point where these leads don't mean as much, but I don't think BLG is really going to give them the time. They have a couple of moments of respite as about 2.5 minutes away from the Baron and the next Drake, but that's going to be, both of those are going to be must-win fights for T1.
And it just makes you feel like the previous BLG versus T1 series. The stranglehold that BLG is capable of after getting a lead like this, something that T1 haven't been able to get past throughout this couple of series that we've seen from them. Still, obviously, scaling from center and things like that, absolutely fantastic. They have tools, but can they make them work is the question. Oner and Faker off on a flank angle, spotted by Bin here. As now, maybe T1 thinking they've found an angle, but Shun, deceptively tanky, still has the ultimate. And engaging onto a Xin Zhao, when has that been a good idea? I can't remember.
BLG fighting for what is theirs, which is this top side of the map.
Oh, max range hook onto Elk, but the follow-up, it's not there. That is going to be the unstoppable utilized by Zeus, though eats some cooldowns. He will be able to survive for now as another wall comes in just to get another inner turret. The Baron has worn off though, so T1 should be able to get through this wave pretty quick.
Keep your eyes on mid as well. Look at Bin, keeping constant pressure. T1 look for the fight.
T1 are looking at mid as well because they know that they're down a member for now. Fate's Call is all they're going to get for their troubles though. And Bin not even going to invest the Destiny. Maybe he wanted to though as the all-out does come in. And Zeus in the picture-in-picture will be able to get the shutdown alongside Faker. And now T1 with an opportunity to fight back as they look for the rest of BLG who are making their way out.
So hard to engage though. T1 not actually going to be able to bridge the gap, trying to funnel into these chokes against Aaliyah, against the Renata. They just don't really have an angle. Still a big win. T1 gets some gold back. Faker picks up a big kill, but still the damage done to the map here by BLG is huge.
Gentlemen, 29 kills in 26 minutes. This is the game one that we wanted. We look back at this play as Bin has his eyes set on the split push. It's a good idea. He knows he has a 2-level advantage over Zeus, but he stacks up the Intofos, gets the knockback, uses the all-out, and while BLG is disengaging on the top side, it's Faker who finds the flank to help get the kill with his top laner. It buys them time, it buys them space, gives them a bit of control back on their side of the map, helps them secure maybe an extra item or two. You can see the Tristana now recalling, all ahead of the important Baron that spawns in 20 seconds time.
Yeah, this is absolutely massive. I do need to apologize for commentating that like it was a solo kill, but I'm glad in the replay we discovered that it kind of was. As Faker does get the last hit, I think giving the money to the Tristana, absolutely the right call, especially when it means he's able to complete that Bloodthirst that you can see in his inventory right now. But speaking of inventories, Knight is starting to put pages in the book,
It. 6 stacks on the match. This man is feeling confident.
And he should. His zone control has been so pivotal for BLG, and we're starting to see as well that in a lot of these fights, even though we keep talking about T1's great front to back, trying to do that into Renata and Talia is actually quite hard. There is so much zone control there, and the engages from Keria have got to be great, but it's always On and Shun stepping forward, and On can be pulled back by the Fate's Call, and Shun, he's a Xin Zhao.
Now it's the fight for the mid wave. But BLG might just fight for this anyway. No, their goal is to push this in.
Audacious Charge does get Shun in there, but it's a good buffer on the dredge line. Still he's going to get snared. Not going to get pushed back though as the Dawning Shadow to try and keep them alive. Another Fate's Call comes in. Good knockup is going to come down, but On is now out of the fight, and he doesn't have that protection. Nice Q3 coming out from Zeus. Is now Faker off on the side. He gets Destinied on. They may have just found the goat, and there he goes. Elk locks down the kill, and now T1 are scattering to the wind. That's the pick that BLG may have needed to secure at least this soul, but maybe even Baron.
The ebb and flow from BLG, the beautiful Shun kites back, draws the attention, and meanwhile on the flank, Bin finds Faker again.
The fight's not over just yet though. T1, 4 members still alive, want to fight their way into this dragon.
Well, the dragon is going to be secured, and now Knight on that flank angle. That's not the hostile takeover that they were looking for, as now Zeus will be executed, and BLG like a freight train are mowing bring down T1. The gold card in hand is Gumayusi trying to slink his way out. He will do so, but the map belongs to BLG.
T1 quite literally gets stuck between a rock and a hard place, and BLG wipe them out once again with the soul secured and the base in their eyes. BLG is confident to try and take game one.
And try to end here. Still 20 seconds on the front line. Only Oner stands, but I don't think he's tanky enough.
I don't think so either. They're going to try a last desperate play, but it's another shove. Don't let this man have Talia. Knight is just too good on this pick. Another one comes in, and the Nexus will now go down. T1 on the floor and BLG on the board.